the guys when I was watching this game was, I noticed the American teams in general, it feels like they're kind of like centered on their team. They just pick the maps and ban based on what they think they're good on. So Liquid assumes, right, we're really good on Mirage. We think we're good on it. So whereas I'd tell them, under no circumstances, let it go to Mirage. Fnatic's really good on it. Their philosophy is like, we'll go to the maps we like. Whereas actually, I prefer the strategy of like, you just go away from the maps of the team that's better than you. Like if you're an underdog, you always get away from their best maps. Even if it's maps that aren't that great for you, maybe you aren't that great on Dust 2 or Cash, I'd rather gamble and go more towards those maps than play something like Inferno or Mirage. And so historically, I've noticed Liquid didn't really take the gamble there. They always went with their strong map and just prayed they'd win. But praying that you're going to beat Fnatic on Inferno and Mirage probably is not a good plan.
Okay, so guys, I'll bring it over here to you guys as well. In the first match we saw NiP and Immunity. After the first map of that, we were like, okay, Immunity are not going to be able to do anything here. It's a steamroll. But in the second map, we saw them give them a decent game. Can we see a similar situation maybe come out here?
I think there's a bit of a difference there in the fact that went to Dust 2. And although people consider NiP as Dust 2, they're fairly good on it. It also is a map that a lot more teams can actually kind of play a pug style. There's less execution that's required due to the open spaces, specifically at long. It's more of just a one-on-one duel kind of map. I don't think that on Mirage we're going to have quite that same opportunity. Now, I do think Liquid should get more than one round. That's a given. But I think that this map actually, yes, they play it a little bit more. They actually are reasonable on it, but against Fnatic, again, I go back to the rounds against Flipside in the Katowice qualifiers. It was like a broken record for Liquid. They got smoked off on A, and they just wait for the smokes to go away, but by that time the bomb had already gone down. They secured post-plant situations, and they could never win the rounds. Liquid needs to address issues early in games, and they never seem to do that. It seems to be the same mistakes occur the entire half. So, again, I think they'll get more rounds, but I don't think it'll be quite like Immunity's run against NiP.
And Robin, I'm hoping for a slightly serious answer. What can they do here?
They need to work. Okay. Again, I don't think they're going to win the map. I think that they can do a better job than on Cobblestone. And the main thing for me was they got the picks. Everything was good, but the execution wasn't there. You saw plenty of times when they hit the B bomb site where you just waited, kind of like how Sadikis was saying that they played on Mirage before, where you just wait for the smokes to fade and then they go. You can't do that. Yeah, sure, it's a bad thing to run through a smoke, but there's going to be situations where you have to, and you have to take that gamble, with a good flash or whatever, and just storm the site. Yeah, sure, you might lose 2 or 3 men, but you're gonna at least hit the site. So yeah, the initial picks, they did good, I feel like, on Cobble. They got the picks knowing that Fnatic are playing aggressive. They will play aggressive on Mirage as well, especially coming back from a 16-1 win on Cobblestone. So stand around, get the picks, work together, execute, plant the bomb, win the after plant, win some rounds, go over to CT, get trashed, and then play the next game.
So we're talking about the T side needs to be stronger. On Cobblestone, we saw that. Would you agree that the new Cobblestone is actually leaning towards T side a little bit?
It's more T-sided than any other Cobble we've ever seen. I don't know if you could call it T-sided.
But it's more towards T-side.
Yeah, and we kind of said that before the match started. We kind of said 9-6 is a lot more common now. 8-7 in teams that play it regularly. So.
Yeah. So it's difficult when we're seeing them play generally badly on the T side at this point.
I mean, they weren't like the first minutes of the rounds were actually not that bad because they got the picks and stuff. It's just that the general idea of, okay, what do we do with the frags that we just got? Like, what is our plan? That wasn't there. Like, that was just lacking completely.
And that's why I kind of think that on Mirage in particular, I think they'll get more rounds just because they'll be more familiar with it. They've played it more times. So when they get the kills, they'll have an idea of what they should do, what that means for the complexity of the defense and their setup. Again, though, the mid for Fnatic on Mirage is so strong. You've got 3 different angles they can play you from. Depending on how JW plays it, it means Crims can be back toward A if they want to be. Liquid has to find a hole in the defense early and exploit it as many times as possible to get rounds T-side. They really have to. And whether that's going to be direct executions on A, or if Adren and Nitro can find picks at mid. I mean, whatever it is, they've got to find it, utilize it, and take full control of it this time.
Well, the problem is, though, if they want to get picks on mid, like in NA, there's lots of people think they're AWPers, okay? Online especially, they're all just going for all the AWP shots. You don't want to be peeking that middle window room when JW's there with an AWP.
You have to smoke it.
That can immediately throw off what you're normally used to doing there. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on, like what's going to happen with that. Because if they can't get that mid control, well, we saw in this game here, a great example is like Cobblestone, where there's not like a general mid area. You can only go to one of the 2 sites. And so as a result, one of the things that Fnatic's the best at is on their CT setups, reading like, okay, we haven't seen anyone over there, let's just gamble and put the 4 onto this one site, you know. So if they do that on Mirage, it's going to be incredibly difficult to get into that A site.
And on Mirage, it's not even just that they set up with the 4 men, it's the rotation. JW is known for jumping out the window, watching underpass. As he does that, Crim slides to A. Now that's 1 more man on the A site, so now they've just covered off mid. No one's there. Great. Now we've covered off A. JW then rotates back up. So even if Liquid want to go, okay, A execution, A execution, A execution, there's still another man at jungle that wasn't there, you know, in the first 10 seconds of the round that will be there in the next 15 before they go back to the default. Like, it's really dynamic play, which is, again, they have to find the hole very quickly.
If they're looking for a pattern of what you could do, it has to be said that, interestingly, a team that did beat them, Fnatic on Mirage recently, was TSM, and they had some crazy T rounds, actually. So maybe if you've watched that demo, because if you're watching the most recent Fnatic demos anyway, maybe you can pick up something from that, like maybe this works, or we saw a little hole here that was exploited. The problem is, you're not TSM, so you might not be able to actually execute on the plan, even if you kind of have a sense for what would work.
I actually do like the Voodoo play, though.
Yeah, that's what I'd go with.
I'd be outside that's like with the best thing you do at this moment, right?
The other interesting thing, though, is in general in North America, a lot more teams. It's one of the things I noticed instantly about Mirage when I came over to Europe and saw it more and more. I saw it a little bit at LANs where Europeans were there, but it's almost like the default for teams in Europe to run that 1-player underpass to get up close to the window. North American teams don't do that quite as much. They actually just go, all right, we'll take 1 pick mid, and then the rest of us are over at A waiting. So they need to find a way to just get in positions that give them more of a chance. Because, again, even if you run the 1-player underpass, that forces the player at A to have to pay attention to connector. If you're not going to make him do that job, he's just supporting everyone at A, and that's another man you have to deal with. So
well, I always stress that the problem if you're playing Fnatic on Mirage is that by default on that map, you're supposed to be able to get into the A site. Even if you can't hold it, even if they come in and do the retake, you're supposed to at least get bomb plants. You're supposed to be able to smoke it off and run in, and okay, a couple might die, but you get the site. Versus Fnatic, sometimes when they have these, like, they stack properly and they gamble properly and they know you're not going to the B site, you just can't even get in the site sometimes. They're just holding a really well up close. The guys over at the palace area, it's like you can't get out even. So that's usually the dynamic people have is like, okay, we can always get into A, so we're going to set that up and then we're going to go B based on that. But if you can't even get into the A, well then eventually you just have to go B and then they have the lockdown there. This is one of the maps that you really can lock down CT side, I think. And Fnatic's one of the best at doing that.
What's going through the minds of Fnatic right now? Do you think they're already looking to their next match? Do you think they feel like
I'm pretty sure they're talking about what they're going to eat after the game.
Yeah, they're just...
I think so. I mean...
Well, they're confident. Up a sweat plowing that field, you know.
Yeah. But they're confident, right? I mean, and you want to be you want to be kind of relaxed when you go into a game anyway. Yeah. You're probably talking right now. Yeah.
Well, we've heard from the comms actually when we've heard the recent events POV recordings of these teams playing with each other. You can tell how calm they are during the matches, which is really awesome.
Back in your day when you played, if they'd have had those comms for you, you know?
Back in my day.
They'd have had those comms.
Like 10 years ago.
They'd have had those comms with translation. Would we have heard some good stuff? Would you guys have been like, oh yeah, this time when we beat Very Games, I actually want it to be NBK that cries, not Smiths, you know, like... That's my aim for this game, guys.
I mean, okay, well, to be honest, Fnatic, yeah, there's some fun guys over there, right?
There's some interesting guys. Yeah, there. Some interesting creations of God.
Exactly, but then then NIP they have Freiburg. It was very nice teddy bear and Get Right.
Where are we going with this?
Get Right always says like weird things. So I'm sorry, Get Right, but that is actually the truth. Like he's kind of weird. Like he can start mumbling about something and stuff like that. But yeah, but there are VODs from when I used to play 10 years ago. On the
MS ones.
You have to download them and import them into Winamp.
Yeah, you know, on the
file that still reads it.
There's an FTP somewhere. You know, it should be probably scratch it off and find it somewhere.
Yeah.
But yes, there are.
Is an interesting question then. If you know there's a POV recording of you during an event, do you hold back on some of the stuff that you're saying in TeamSpeak?
Sometimes. I mean,
I think some teams would milk it. I think I would milk it. I'd be like, oh, I know they're listening. Let's just troll.
You see that? I feel like that sometimes when you're listening back to it. You're like, okay, they know we were going to hear that because they're just... Well, it feels like they're trolling us.
There's going to be times where you don't even think about it, and you might say something that you shouldn't have said. I'm not going to say what. But
no, of course. But do you think that is a little dangerous then for brands? we're going off on tangent here, but I think it's really interesting. It's something I've been thinking about since the POV streams have been so popular recently. Like, some teams are going to get to the point where the organisations are going to go, actually, no, we don't want our teams on POV because just in case they say something bad. Or
it actually happened in Dota. That's what happened. They originally had these POV streams, and some of the teams like complained, like, we don't want to be on. Especially because you have to realise one of the things that's a bit unfair, especially in games like Dota and CSGO, which have so many European teams. Okay, most of them probably only speak in their language anyway, so unless someone translates it, maybe there won't be the issue of people hearing things they don't want to. But culturally, certain things are allowed to be said in certain cultures that you can't get away with in like a North American PR-friendly, family-friendly world. And so these guys would have to like retrain themselves on how to talk to a degree almost.
I think the bigger issue isn't even the pregame troll, because then even if it's intentional, they're going to kind of word it carefully. And yeah, they're trolling, but they're still aware they're listening. I think the bigger issue would be rage. If someone rages out and says something completely offside about someone, whether it's instinctively racial or just that I want to kill this person and it has some undertone to it, that's a huge issue because that's coming natural. And you're like, oh wait, someone heard me say that. That might be something you've done your whole career, and now someone's listening. Like,
I know you're trying to play your game, but you're on edge.
Yeah, and I mean, rage happens. It shouldn't at a pro level, in my opinion, but it does. I mean, and if that's the bigger issue because that's when your emotions are let go, and then it's like, oh shit, someone just heard all of that.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, to be fair, if you just had the camera and the voice thing on me when I'm playing matchmaking, I think
I would love.
Yeah.
It'd be amazing.
Do you even play any matchmaking, Thorin?
Yeah, I do sometimes.
Really?
Do you
what
upload
rank
it?
are you?
Oh, if I tell you that, then the Reddit detectives will start searching, and I'll see if someone plays Master.
Yeah, with the
they'll
bandwave,
get to
he's
it.
like,
Wait, okay,
global
wait.
elite.
So, what's your nickname again, then? Do you have one?
Well, that's the same thing. They're going to go and check the account. I can't tell anyone
That's
that
what I'm
information.
asking for.
Okay.
Okay, so we need someone that has
Yeah.
Thorin on the friend list, just
See if they can,
like
yeah.
we want to know.
Okay.
Somebody find
See if you
Thorin.
can find
How,
out.
how many zeros is
I
it?
don't know.
Thorin, seven
I would
No.
never
zeros.
use my real name. I played with an alias.
Knowing Thorin is like Death Slayer or you know.
Slayer
Yeah.
69.
No, Fiflaren 944. That's
Really?
my alias. Yeah,
There's a lot of those actually.
there is.
Yeah, so we would never be able to find the right one.
And all the avatars are just your face as well.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
just complete. How do you feel about the map coming up third? So
We don't have to talk
potentially,
about
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
potentially
map.
coming up third. Cash.
I mean, I don't think we're going to get there, but imagining that we do.
Is there a team that?
That's actually probably Liquid's best chance on this map pool, I
Yeah,
think.
that's the thing. If
Yeah.
I were them, I would have rather played Cash than Mirage. I mean, personally, if I were them, I would have gambled on something like DOS 2. But let's say they don't, okay, because they already, by picking Mirage, it's too late, and Fnatic was going to ban out DOS 2. If I only have the choice between Mirage and Cash, I would have gone with Cash. I still think Fnatic are really good on Cash. But actually, the thing about Cash that I think would work to the favor of Liquid is that it's got a lot more open play to it in a sense. Like, if you notice, the majority of teams on Cash just go to the A site over and over and over again, because that's a site where, again, you can just get into that site. There isn't a pure lockdown that many teams are able to do. You don't see, like, 13 CT rounds by any level of team on that map, you know. So I feel like in that scenario, they would have had some more chances, or they might have felt like they were in the game.
Cool. We are ready for map number 2. It is Mirage. Take it away, Fiflaren and Sadikist.
All right, so we'll get into it. Knife round to start things off again this time, and we kind of mentioned some issues that Liquid need to address or possible openings. Do they want to start CT, get that cushion? Is it that important that they win this knife round?
I think so. I mean, again, you're playing against Fnatic. They're good on both sides. But for your own sake, like if you feel that the CT side is the best side for you, or if maybe you're even confident playing on the T side, just pick the one you're comfortable with so you actually get some rounds on the board. Because even, like, I mean, as long as it doesn't end up with you just winning one round, so you have, like, that boost coming into the second half. It's like, yeah, come on, guys, we can do this. We got, like, say, 9 rounds, for example, on the CT side. We can do this. We're good on the T side as well.
Well, and that's the thing, because we've seen teams, specifically NIP recently, on Cash, last weekend, in fact, say, let's start the hard side so that they know, let's say on that particular map, Cash, which has been the case for NIP. They've been getting most of their rounds on the T side. Then they know what they have to work with. So in some aspects, it's still picking the easy side for them.
Yeah.
But sometimes you get that 9 and you think, I don't know, this is a mental game here, but you think, okay, this isn't that hard. We only need this many more. But then they start to slip, and you only pick up 1 or 2, and then it gets in the back of your mind like it's a harder task, and suddenly it's a tie game, and then you're mentally, are you out of it at that point? Like, is it?
Well, just to come back to the NIP point, the reason why they actually do that is if it's like the first game, especially in the tournament, but during the day as well, it's the first game you're playing, and you start off like maps like, even on Inferno, but Cache is probably the best one to take. The first map, first game, they're not really that warmed up. It's better actually to start on the T side because you do get to have aggressive.
The advantage against the other team.
Yeah, because on the CT side you may not be as aggressive and you have to hold the angles and your aim needs to be on point. Whereas on the T side you're very aggressive, right? You can still take those duels and you can get a little bit more warmed up. So that's probably
actually I've never actually thought of the warm up aspect. That's really interesting to hear you say. So that takes the whole mind game almost to another level. Like that's just playing into strength. So
and this is actually live. Fnatic won the knife round.
So yeah, there you go. So we won't get the CT side start that Liquid would have desired. But we do have 3 smokes, as Cadian again points out to us. So we'll see if they use them. And actually, they're going to use them quite early onto the A site. This leaves Crimson Olaf in the backside. Already a rotation sliding out from Connector though. So they will have one more player. In fact, it's not quite Connector. It's into the jungle area. Here comes the entry. Crims already shuts down Elige. Oh, what a shot. JW takes down Daps. Adren did get the nade kill onto Crims just before that, so they did enough damage. But look at JW through the smoke and in behind them. They have no idea he's there. He's still shooting. And finally, Fugly realizes he's behind them. And he and Nitro go down just as quick as I can mention it. So it's 1-0 already, Fnatic. And a reasonably good round.
Yeah, and this is what Thorin was talking about, which I completely agree with. The fact that you have the smokes, right? Normally teams tend to just leave the site and just retake it after the bomb is down. Fnatic, on the other hand, yeah, they see the smokes, so they decide to fight it instead. And you saw there, Liquid, they had the opportunity to push the site, but they're very passive again. They reach the site, they'd rather go and take those duels where they really shouldn't.
Just get the bomb down and fall back.
Yeah.
I mean, I've kind of, you may disagree actually, coming from a more experienced perspective, but I've been saying that post-plant situation, because the bomb site's so open and it's so removed for the bomb, that the A ramp is actually one of the best post-plant situations in the game to be in, because they have to go so far from it if they want to take that fight. I'll get your opinion on that, because the rush is going to come in on B. Nitro actually finds the first kill on to Pronax. Nade does go back out, they'll catch him, and they are inside the site this time. JW up close. Okay, so there you go. Now they actually rush in and just go for a bomb plant. And you have to think it's an eco, they just want the money, but more of that in other rounds might actually pay off. But that's as far as they'll get. They'll get mopped up just as quick as that. So Fnatic take 2.
So yeah, so were you referring to the A ramp towards the T side or the CT side?
Pardon me, the T side, exactly where Cadian's going to highlight it, because it's so far removed from the site. So again, if you want to take that fight, if it's in like a 2-on-2 or whatever, he doesn't have to peek you. You have to take potentially 5 seconds worth of footsteps to get over there just to take the duel.
Yeah, I think it all depends on the situation and obviously how many men you have left alive. For me, obviously, I feel it's always better to take, even with the bomb down, especially on a map like Mirage, where you actually try to get CT spawn. It leaves you with so many more options. You can push into connector, flank them. If you have one guy that you were saying at the A ramp, you can still do that if you want.
Okay, and that's interesting, because I find that if you can't get that far, like if they're already on the site, as we see Olaf quickly take down Adren, actually they're going to get more than that as they come out Palace. Olaf's going to contribute up close, switches to the pistol, Nitro down, it's all left to Daps. My theory was that if you're already in the site at that point, let's say it's a one-on-one, and you're on CT stairs, it's not that far away from the bomb, so he only has to take 2 steps potentially, and then he's on it. He can get it defused, whereas you have a lot more time to kill or potential time to kill by getting out.
Oh yeah, I mean, if it's a one-on-one, then yeah, for sure, you can play it better there. But
I get, like you said, it's situational, so
yeah.
They're going to chase Daps. He won't even get an exit kill. No guns down. Flawless round from Fnatic. This will start to build the economy as well, and Olaf got 3 of those kills with that MP... Oh, no, I lied. He switched over to the pistol for 1. So, nonetheless, he got 2 kills with the MP7. That's 1,200 there.
I was just going to say it would be fun here to see if Adren actually bought the op, and he's not. He bought an AK, and...
A lot of nades to go with it.
A lot of nades.
Because he was just in position. He wouldn't have had any nades, though, to go. So... Set up out toward mid. Still inside the horseshoe. Haven't gone for the peak yet. I think they put someone underpass. It looks like Nitro's finally going to step up and take that role and try and get in there and get up close. But again, there was that 3 presence from Fnatic. 1 flash out. Flusha falls. JW comes back to window. Crims slid to A while JW rotated. It just has so much dynamic play to it. And this is a scout, keep in mind. So he can go for this jump shot, and he gets it. Doesn't take him down, but takes massive damage. Watch out, the fire comes in. Just bounces too far. If that had been a nade, there might have been a chance, but... Nitro gets away with 9 HP. Still 2 more in mid. Good patience from Flusha. That finds Elige. Flash out as well. That's going to catch off. I believe that's Daps on the backside of middle. Take that back. It was a Dren. He's caught now. Flusha with a second one. He's going to get even more aggressive because they know Nitro's still lurking somewhere over on that B side. Nade comes out late. Not going to find him. And Daps, all by his lonesome on the A site, comes out from Palace. Look at the eyes on him. Olaf up close, in fact, more than up close, jumps across to the balcony, spotted in doing so, but the nade goes out. Yes, it gets him. Damage just before that, and the nade's effective. All that's left, 9 HP, and unlike Cobble, they're not even finding picks in this match.
Yeah, and I don't know if they had like an idea to use their smokes with, because it didn't make any sense for me that they would not waste a single smoke to take over middle. Knowing how many spots that you actually have to cover. That smoke in window where JW was holding. Yeah. That smoke in window where JW was holding, it didn't get smoked off until he actually put down, I don't know who was in underpass, but that came down after like a minute. So obviously you're not going to take mid control when you know that, again, Fnatic aggressive. They're aggressive on catwalk, they're aggressive in connector, and you have JW with a scout in middle. Yeah, of course you're not going to be able to take any map control. Wasting one smoke just to get one of those positions off is better than...
This is interesting this round, though, because JW didn't go there immediately. They threw that short smoke on Cat. That let them get a little further up, but Crims won't let them go anywhere near the bomb sites. He's going to catch 2 from the connector. Flusha plays a little bit more passively on catwalk, and there's JW finally in the window. So late setup from Fnatic that time, but still the same play ultimately. Came from all 3 angles to get the attack.
Yeah, and they knew that they would be on a save as well, so they probably took it. Ah, there it was. I think that was like the 3rd jump kill that we've seen today, and that was a no-scope as well, so I'm not counting in the scout scopes, but the no-scope. So Flush had 2 on Cobble, now we have JW with 1 no-scope scout here as well, so it's 3. So it's caught. Yeah, so Molotovs and smokes, and we're gonna see a
no-scope, by the way.
It's gonna happen. So we're gonna see an NA play here on just a regular smoke round. On the A-bomb site.
And Daps will lurk passively. This is my point. North American teams, sometimes they'll just set up for a solid A. They won't even try and distract anyone at mid. If you can get in the site and get the bomb down, it works. But the problem is Crims now and JW both can rotate onto A because there's no duty for them to do.
Yeah, they spotted mid, there's no one there, and you see here, they're 4 again.
Yeah, sometimes that one player, it may not be his job to get kills, just to keep other players away from the bomb site. Crims already finds Nitro, because again, he's up close now. He's not playing back by the connector, he's got 2. Daps, though, does pick up 2 in response, so good double for him. Second one on Flusha just as he came through the smoke. Adren's watching the flank, no one there just yet. But the bomb's still not down because Adren's the one that has it. So why is he wasting so much time trying to watch this flank when they could at least throw the bomb site, or the bomb across to Fugly? As he'll catch JW, and Adren's still not moving. He's still waiting for this.
Yeah, now they have the advantage though. 3 on 2, they can actually play an Olaf as low as well, and Daps still have that smoke to work with as well when they do want to get the bomb down. But they need to at least start peeking here a little bit.
There it is. Finally, he throws the bomb over. So he throws it to Fugly. This means he doesn't have to cross, doesn't have to give up his positioning. Low HP for Daps, but doesn't need to peek. They've got full control. They need to play this passively. And in fact, Olaf thinks that's what they're going to do. He's already... Okay, no, he's going to rotate. I thought he was actually just going to run to B with the M4.
No, they have the money for it. They're going to go here.
So he'll come around CT. This will catch off on Fugly. That's 1 man down. Adren's in sandwich. He's not gone back to the stairwell. Okay, good thing he got that kill on Pronax, because that could have been a very awkward situation. The trouble now is he's your high HP player, so Daps gets caught. He has to win this one-on-one, and he's not going to do it. Olaf gets him. And in that case, why does he not fall further from the site?
Yeah, like Kaden is saying now. The apps guy, why do you peek?
Yeah.
Why? It doesn't make any sense. Just wait. You have the guy in sandwich. Just have him take the first peek. You don't even have to peek at all.
Specifically where he was low HP.
Yeah,
it wasn't like he could even be like, okay, I spotted him and fall. If he gets one bullet, he's down.
No, it doesn't. Look, they're laughing because they're like, what are these guys doing? It doesn't make any sense.
No, that was very questionable. So yet another post-round advantage, post-plant advantage, excuse me, that goes the way of Fnatic, and that was careless. They had the site smoked off. They had them both limited. Fugly never gets away. Dren stays a little bit too close in the site, in my opinion. Oh, leg shot from JW to start off this one. That's a Liege down to 16. But again, it's simple, repetitive mistakes. So if Liquid can put these together, then...
But these are the mistakes we keep on seeing, especially from the NA teams, like over and over and over again. Like how long time do they actually need to... Again, it's small mistakes, right? But it's mistakes that cost them several rounds.
Exactly.
Like, over and over again.
If they can address them, though, let's say in theory that they actually take this home and they learn from this, then there's a chance that, yes, this team has potential, but potential is a wasted word if it's never acted upon. Because the skill seems to be somewhat there. It's not, I wouldn't say it's on the level of Fnatic even individually wise, but they're getting openings occasionally.
Yeah, and we see the A-split now.
Flusha gets one. Crims this time still at home on connector. Catches Nitro.
And these guys aren't even going!
So Olaf just has to sit and wait. That time, okay, nice shot of Dren that time. Does get Crims, and he gets 2. He actually finds the second angle. JW finally answers onto him, and now Flush is rotating. He catches the first. Pronax is there for the second, and your rotations were so quickly because it was such a slow execution.
The guys from Connector ran up and died.
And the A guys hadn't even moved.
There was one flash that Fnatic threw in there. Like, guys, we're Flash. We're not gonna do this. You can run up and die if you want to, but we're not gonna help you.
I do want to say that the interesting thing is though, by putting those players in mid, they should be aware that Crims had to stay put. There was more of an opening that time than in the previous round, as a matter of fact. The Liege this time will open on Olaf, but look at the spray down. Almost all 3 with only 20 bullets from Crims. That's incredibly good recoil control. He'll pop back out. He wants this third one. I don't know if he's gonna get it. In fact, I think JW may. On the way out. He should now with this AK. Or this AK. Or not that AK. Flush gets
all the
it.
AKs.
Yeah.
So they tried something different there. Just go on A fast. They probably thought, well, they know that Crims likes to play that bomb site alone. And then Fnatic tends to take mid control with 1 connector, 1 cat, and 1 window. Like you see now, for example, you know, it's just regular, you know, aggressive play from Fnatic coming in because they know that, again, they're going to be low on money. They want to make sure that they do take the control and they don't let Liquid run around like they want to.
Now that was interesting. We're seeing a lot more aggressive. Okay, JW spots 1. Now they know they're B. We saw a lot more aggressive, but that 1 flash slowed down Fnatic just enough that if they'd gone all the way through, look how far separated they are. It's all Pronax. They take him down. That's a bomb plant because they're so far pushed up. But again, they sit still. They don't take any advantage of that. They're actually going to have players behind them flanking them before they get anywhere near B site.
Yep.
That looks to be exactly the case. That Molotov slows them down even more. They're going to run through it. They actually don't take as much damage because there's a slight gap. They're going to get spotted. They do get Pronax now. Again, you go back 10 seconds ago. They get that kill earlier. Bomb's already down. They'll get it nonetheless as JW only collects 1 so far. Nitro finds a second look at this though. Olaf. Oh, he gets caught. Tries to be patient. A little bit too cute. And the Liege will catch JW. So this may actually work now for Liquid. Crims will fire away from Checker. There's the first onto a Liege. Can he get more? Jumps through. Knows there's a player up close, but fires a little bit too close to the wall. Nitro picks up the M4 earlier in the round, makes good work of it, and they finally have 1.
Yeah.
One that ultimately shouldn't have gone their way based on how that unfolded.
Oh yeah, no. Fnatic should have had that round, but I actually don't think the Liquid actually heard the Fnatic players push up middle. That's why they were probably so slow without knowing that Fnatic was actually up middle. But yes, it was very slow again. They waited on the smoke, obviously, from that Pronax threw on the B bomb site. Sloppy play from Fnatic on the retake. All of them with, you know, trying to be a little bit too patient.
Dren. He pushed forward to that Molotov, rather incendiary, and therefore got caught. He had nowhere to fall back without taking damage, and now they're a man down just because of that. So taking fights they can't win, and we saw if Ugly actually dodged it. Dren was the second man through. You would have thought he did the same. Or if they were going to go together. Flusha still up on Catwalk, where he always makes himself at home. Nitro is pushed into the cubby on the opposing side of middle. No smoke to get him out, although this smoke on window on JW actually does give him a bit of a chance. So he'll fall all the way back into the horseshoe. Meanwhile, Daps still lurking inside Palace. Looks like the bomb's going to head toward B.
Yeah, the one around their previous round. I'm going B. Might as well try it again, right?
Nade does go out. That flash as well, so they wouldn't have spotted that nade coming in. So Fugly's down to 67 as a result. Smoke as well. Everything they possibly can. So Fnatic has a read on this. Fire on the opposing side of the smoke. If they push too deep, they're going to be immediately in it. Fugly does get the kill on Pronax, though. Flusha, meanwhile, though, the nade goes out. Flusha's going to do double. Flusha's going to do 3. Meanwhile, we've got it locked on Daps. As Nitro burns Flusha away, Daps, all that's left. It was from the grave from Nitro's perspective.
He doesn't even get the kill. This is the first time I actually think I've seen any Liquid player try to lurk, though.
Well, yeah, last map we didn't see a lot of it, that's for
sure.
Yeah,
I think I saw that one round. Yeah, and there's no time, so he's going to save. Or he's going to try to save.
Can't die post round. Does get the first on Crims, but okay, good. Gets away with it. So Flusha holds on to B that time, and still the single round this time for Team Liquid.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, too, they're yet to win a pistol. Aside from that one that looked like it was going to go their way until we had the server restart, but
yeah,
that's reading into it. Look at Flusha again. They try to flash themselves around the corner. That did force JW out of the window. Olaf's the one in connector, but Flusha was still there. He wasn't blinded. He takes the peek, and he wins the fight. So everyone is winning individual battles right now on Fnatic's side.
Again, not much they can do here. They do have an up. Is it Apps again? Yeah, he say push aggressive into Apps again, just trying to get a pick, but it's 3-on-5.
This game's very reminiscent. I would say the Cobblestone game was, except for the fact that they were getting picks early on, but this game's very reminiscent of MLG against Fnatic when Liquid got beat 16-13 on Inferno. Very, very similar. They're just sitting back. They don't even, they're scared to almost take the entries. And in that case, Fnatic just pushed down mid on Inferno and trapped them in Banana. Can't quite do that on this map, but it's the same thing, though. It's just so passive from Liquid. Finally, a smoke comes out, but there's not one on the top of the stairs, so even though Crims already has 2, Olaf had free line of sight. Daps did wait and get him. But Crims finds him as well, so a hat trick for Crims, and we're on double digits already for Fnatic.
Yeah.
Liquid need to get another round now, because if we go to another pistol, this is going to be very, very similar to what we saw in Cobble.
Yeah, and Crims is so good on that A-bomb site. That's why they just leave him there, because they know he's going to do the job, and he always does. Like you see here, 16 frags for him. They've been going towards that bomb site quite a lot as well, so he's been getting a lot of good frags over there. And now you see they're on a save. They have 2 smokes, though. They're going to smoke off the A-bomb site. Just try to get the bomb down here.
1 counter smoke out so far as well, just to slow them a bit on the air stairs. But look, they've already got 3 people over. And it's double op setup for Fnatic. So, like we've mentioned, don't spot anyone in mid. Process of elimination. They come back over. There's your first. Make it 2, make it more. Yes, Crims is going to get the double. Olaf also finds his second. And just as quickly as that, Olaf finds Fugly on the backside of the firebox. Only 1 to drop. It's JW, but look at the money. He's got 11-8. We've got 11-6 on Crims. He's just finished buying for this round.
Yeah. The only thing I want to see from Liquid here is a regular standard round, smoke off window, come 1 from underground, take over middle. You know, it's simple.
No one does that for the North American teams. Again, they go 3 mid. There's no lurk player in the underpass.
And they're running through the smoke once again.
It's such an important player because now you have a chance to control the connector. Right now, they can't do anything about it. So he's just going to go and join in on the raiding party at mid. Flush has already got 1. Crims popped out, got the 1 before that. If he has a player down an underpass, he can't peek. He has to control that angle.
Yeah, and I mean, I can understand, like, probably the strats that are running right now probably works in North America because they can out-aim them, right?
Yep.
They can't do that versus Fnatic.
No.
You see there, they're getting slaughtered. They can't do that. It doesn't work. It doesn't work over here. They need to actually... Are we hearing? Yeah,
we are hearing. Didn't pick up on anything.
I wonder if this is from Fnatic's always... Okay.
Well, Fnatic doesn't really need to say anything right now. It would be all Liquid. But again...
But yeah, as I was saying, right? You can't do that versus Fnatic. You need to actually use your smokes early, at least some of them, to actually get some...
And pre-match, I mentioned that this is very similar to how North America's always played this map. Yet the meta for Europe has been so different for so long. Why are no North American teams? Cloud9's done it a few times, I'll say, but why are they not doing anything different? This time smokes go a little bit deeper. That covers off jungle, but JW gets aggressive on the front side of the first. That's Fugly down. He's going to find more. It's Elige as well. Daps gets a response kill with the Tech-9, but look at that. Complete mob.
Have you noticed something? I just noticed something. They tend to do all these smoke rounds, you know, like that smoke round, for example, the Bebo smoke round. They do that on their ecos. And then when they're on their weapons, yeah, they don't do anything. Yeah, we'll put that 1 smoke down, like, pretty defensively on us in mid and just run through it, and we'll see what happens.
And maybe that goes back, by the way, Pronax picked up an AUG. I don't know if he used it in the press round or not, but he's dropped it away. That kind of goes back to what you're saying about North America. They take the one-on-one battles. They don't want to smoke it off because they think they can win the aim duel. You're, like you said, you're not going to win that against Fnatic.
Yeah. Here, again, JW. But he's running, though. Yeah, he's going to get hurt here.
Nitro needs to hit this shot. We've seen him miss a few this game, finally. Does put him down, so man advantage, but obvious information there toward B. As a result, Flush is going to fall back on Catwalk. Pronax has to do the job early, though doesn't. Dren's already found him. Fugly actually turns back, gets Flusha as well, so good awareness that they know exactly where he was going to come from based on how he plays the map. Olaf's got to hit the shots here from the kitchen. Gets the first. That's Elige down. Can he find more? The op still scoped in and looking toward the jail. Bombs down, though, up close, and Nitro gets him. Very low HP for Nitro, but against the op, no condition. Look at Crims, though, on the entry from the backside, controlling that recoil. 2 down already. Make it 3 on a Dren, and it's down to a 1-on-1. Baits out the bomb carrier. There's your, pardon me, the bomb plant. With that defuse, Daps going to try and take this fight, and he runs. He runs out. Daps, that's the second time this match he goes for the peek. That was more than 5 seconds already. He runs the whole way. Not only does he telegram where he's coming, I mean, they're confused. Why?
To be honest, though, that wasn't necessarily... Daps had to peek there. Because the time was low. He didn't know if he was holding it. The other guy... I mean, the second frag from Crims there, that was nutty.
That was nuts.
That was nutty, right? The third one, don't have to peek. That guy should just leave it, right? Don't play the bomb.
To be fair, though, I don't think Daps had to peek from that angle. He could have picked it. I think the bomb was exposed from the window side.
I don't think so. The way that he was standing, he couldn't see it.
Okay,
yeah,
maybe
you
from
see
the
here.
side
See, he doesn't see the window here.
Yeah, you're right. From the side.
Yeah, so first of all, it was a horrible plant, but getting to that situation where he's left alone, and 27 frags. He's having a field day. Pronax obviously didn't see a lot of people at B, and when he did, he got a lot of assists.
The interesting thing is, Crims, Thorin alluded to it, is kind of dropped off a little bit in form. He kind of, to be fair, he was always kind of the support player. Yep. It was never expected that he was going to carry every game, but he started to. And he mentioned how if JW and Crims get going again, that's when they're at their best. I don't even want to mention that it's Crims coming on. It's that he didn't have a job to do. All he had to do was run around and kill people because there was no pressure on him at Connector.
Yeah.
I mean, if you let a guy like that come into a site with nothing on his mind except I'm here to kill people. I don't have to control this angle. I don't have to hold someone off the backside. You're just letting a guy with a ton of skill go nuts.
Yeah. I can't believe that round still. I mean, I don't know what to say. Like,
to be fair, I take back. I called out Daps initially for peeking. I thought he could see it from the window. Now that I saw he couldn't, to be fair, he did have to peek there.
It was the third guy. I mean, obviously that spray onto Fugly over there by the couch. Yeah, okay, sure. It was a nutty shot. You probably didn't have to peek it. You did. You ended up dying, sure. Third guy, why? Don't do it. Yeah. You had the guy window. The thing is, the guy in window, the Daps one, he actually could hold the position where if Crims tried to kill the person behind the site, Daps would get him because of the crossfire.
Yeah, just set up the angle for the trade. And again, this does come down. It looks like Liquid is kind of playing with these peaks because they're confident enough. Maybe it is the North American thing, like you say. But in situations like this, it's almost like, I don't know how to describe it. Effectively, it's peak until you must take the fight until he comes to you. But I'm trying to think of some analogy of like a desperate situation where you're holding on for dear life. That's kind of what you have to do. Just don't peek, don't peek. But not the case.
Yeah. So I'm not sure what's going on here. I don't know. I think it's Liquid that might not be ready. That readied up yet. They're probably talking about what they're going to try to do here. To try and salvage the...
Again, they're 0-3 on pistols.
Yeah.
And Pistol, again, same situation as Cobble. We go right to match point. So that's, Liquid to only pick up... We're not done yet, but to only pick up potentially 2 maps, that's a big deal considering, like you said, they've been practicing a long time for this event. They went, I think it was 10-0 or 10-1 or something like that in the Faceit League to get here. Quite comfortably walked through the North American division. They're in a tough group. I don't think anyone kind of expected them to take down NiP or
yeah, but I mean, look at Group B as well. It's also stacked. It's not like any group is easy.
No, exactly. Right? But you got to pick up at least rounds to say, okay, we did our best.
Yeah.
We represented ourselves well, and we have a chance. Now, this is just demoralizing. Like, even to watch a demo, we said there's lots to learn from on the executions. Even just to sit back and watch a 16-1, it's like I have to relive this. So, I mean, hopefully they'll have the right attitude about it, and take it on the chin and just say, all right, let's watch it. Let's figure out why they're so much better than us. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, you can easily pinpoint what is going on or what's going wrong as well. Like, in both of these maps, on Cobblestone, you can easily figure that out. On Mirage, on the T side, there's the mistakes that they're making is, like, it seems small, but it's big, right? Because it's common mistakes that you should not do.
That's the thing. Easy problems don't always have easy solutions.
Yeah. So I'm not sure. I mean, coming into the seat side now, obviously they probably don't want to end up with another 16-1 loss here. And I think if they end up losing this one, they will play the Australian team.
Yeah, Immunity.
Yeah.
Which, based on how they performed against NiP,
yeah,
I mean that's going to be a challenge as well. There's no easy game here for Liquid, and they need to make sure they rebound quickly in that regard. And you got to get something going for yourselves. It's a long way to travel, to not really get much going.
Yeah.
So Again, though, it's not like anyone expected a lot. We saw ESEA land the North American teams with Cloud9 in company, Nihilim there. They didn't even pick up a single map against, EU. It's no secret to anyone right now that NA is very behind. But at the same time, 2 rounds, that's a long way behind.
It is. I mean, yeah, to be fair, they're playing against the best team in the world right now, which is Fnatic. They're playing on arguably their 2 strongest maps. I don't really know what they were expecting, to be honest, right? Yeah, so it's 5 seconds to we go live, I think I just heard, which is great. So we'll see if Liquid actually has an answer now on their CT side. I mean, again, they picked this map, right? They must have some sort of an idea, at least on the CT side. They didn't have it on their T side, but...
Well, we'll see what they can get going. Even just to salvage some pride here, get some rounds rolling. Interesting setup for them on this defense as well. Because we've got 2 toward Cat, only 1 player at A. Adren's in the window. He can switch over to jungle quickly, but that's going to be smoked off.
This is going to be dangerous. It's an A fake from Fnatic, and they're all rotating. They're going to leave 1 guy at B.
Fugly will lurk up, though. He still knows there is a smoke out. That's his smoke that he placed, but if he sees 1 come through, they'll be ready. They're going to get 1, make it 2. Elise catches out Crims. That's on the opposing side. Olaf does take down Fugly, so Bomb Plant will come in, but the rotations are already coming. Smart play from Liquid. They don't dwell too long on the A site, and they're already going to be in good position. They just have to take this fight. Good damage dealt by JW on the Nitro. But they've got to watch because you still have Pronax coming around. Yeah, there you go, from middle, who was your last lurk player surviving at A. Daps tries to come in. JW finds him from ban. They need to push forward and get these kills quickly. Nitro does it. JW's down. Elise as well, and Pronax is all that's left. Catches Elise on the backside, but smokes out. He can hold this defuse. And Pronax firing just to the left. He'll get this. He has to get this, and the meat shield's in front of him as well. In fact, Nitro will do 1 further, so well done, Liquid. You'll get 1 more round and some money to play with.
I was just going to note it, point that out as well, that Nitro was the one with the kit, and instead you had Adren defusing the bomb, which is, again, they won the round, but it's a small mistake. Like, that could actually cost you the round.
Yeah, for sure. If Pronax finds the diffuser, Nitro then has to take the one-on-one. If it's, 4 seconds. Yeah.
So, yeah, but they won the round. Good thing that they didn't just stay at the A-bomb site. They caught on fairly quickly that it was a fake, so...
So Adren rotates back up from connector, but watch out, there's your underpass play. That's why it works, and Fnatic utilize it to perfection. They come up with the Tech 9. Adren goes down. They won't push forward to secure the rifle, though, because Daps was waiting on the backside, but they have boosted in window. Daps doesn't know it yet, does still manage to take down Pronax. But there's still 1 more below him. It's JW, and he'll wait. Daps had no idea. He may go further. No, Fugly puts him down with the P90 coming through the vents, but Crims is going back. He's heading back toward B. Good read from Fugly because there's no call at A. He'll head back over in that direction, but Nitro needs to be quick on his reaction. He is in a good position to rotate on the backside towards CT. Crims dropped already, bomb down. Fugly wants to do 1 better as he waits for Nitro to show up. Does do massive damage onto Olaf. And they're all there now. Good setup from Liquid. And Nitro closes out the final 2, so 14-3. Do they upgrade? They do. Elise already goes for the M4. Daps follows suit. Nitro tosses over the FAMAS to Adren and picks up his own M4, and Fugly will hold on to this P90. And Pronax has called for his team to go for an early buy. They're all on AKs.
Yeah, but only 1 smoke here, though, from Fnatic.
Look at the difference, though. No one really playing in mid from Liquid. Whereas Fnatic are so used to teams playing there, they've got 3 people committed to taking that pick.
Yeah. And again, you saw that Fnatic wasted their 1 smoke here now.
And with only 1 player, well, not only I wouldn't even call this a waste, because with only 1 player in mid, they can walk all the way up with that smoke out, because now their window player can't spot. There's no one in connector. Olaf's surprised. He's checking every angle going, where the hell are they? So now they can pinch the A site quite effectively, and Nitro needs to be very careful about that, because if he walks too far, he'll expose himself from far too many angles. That's exactly what happens. Flusha finds 1, Elise gets the other. And it's all left to Daps and Fugly. We're going to be on match point quite quickly unless they can pull something off. They do find Crims at least. That's an AK down. Daps will go further as well. That's JW on the backside through connector. Pronax had the bomb over toward B. He's going to go back toward A. Flusha's low. Problem is they can't get any closer to the site because Olaf's waiting below the ladder. Knows for sure they're going to be there now, and the second player is coming directly toward connector. That's where Flush is peeking. He's already spotted, so Olaf might get both here. Good kill from Daps. But the bomb is down. Post-plant positions are very good. One toward Tetris, one out on CT. And he's going to walk in with one on both his left and right, and he'll have to try and isolate them, and Fnatic is far too experienced to allow that to happen.
Yeah, I'm going to say, look at the difference now in terms of the after plant, right? So obviously Pronax is kind of stuck. But flusha, right? Look how far away in the CT spawn he was. Like, yeah, he's just going to sit there and get back and relax, right? It could have ended badly for Fnatic that round, actually, because Pronax was so far off. He was all the way in the middle with the bomb, and there was no way for him to actually get into connector with it, so he had to run all the way back, which gave Liquid a bit of extra time to actually try to return the frags that they received. So
we'll see flusha head toward the palace this time. Crims, does put out a nade. Good damage onto Elise. She gets spotted as well by Pronax, and they're going to find one more potentially peeking out. That's a Dren. Fugly manages to get JW just before that. He's the man with the M4. But that's your only rifle up right now on Liquid's side. Good counter peek onto flusha. Not a lot of damage dealt. He's only down to 64. He'll smoke that off as well. Bomb, meanwhile, is all the way back toward Horseshoe, heading on T-spawn. It's Crims this time holding on to it. Look at Olaf. He'll find out that B's open. They've got 58 seconds.
Yeah, you see, he's running all the way back now. Oh, Pronax. Or it's actually Crims.
It's Crims this time, yeah. But same idea. I mean, once Olaf calls that that's open and they get the 2 kills, pretty obvious what's going to happen. Back to B they go. Nitro almost caught with the knife out. Doesn't have time to get the deagle up, and Olaf closes out the final kill. So 16-3 and 16-1, 2-0 Fnatic over Liquid in the best of 3. Great performance from them this morning.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're looking solid. Crims there with a massive Mirage, especially on the CT side. I mean, 27 frags. Come on. And that last round as well. I mean, he was playing really well. But yeah, still obviously a lot of mistakes from the Liquid side. There's a lot to work. A lot of work to be done there.
Even just standard formations, the default formations on Mirage, the things that every team in EU does.
Yeah.
From Fnatic to Dignitas to Flipside, the things that everyone knows work for a reason. I mean, it's not like teams just say, oh, we're going to do this because they do it because it works. There's a reason to do it. Liquid aren't even doing that. And that's not to call it Liquid individually. There's other teams in North America that still don't run a player underpass to control connector. I mean, sometimes that's a role. And Hiko talked about how some players don't want to step up and play those roles. Sometimes, you don't have to be the hero. Just sit back. Xyp9x is a great example. He sits back in those positions that just keeps people occupied, and that gives more room to his teammates.
Yeah. No, but like overall in this game, especially on Mirage now, there's so many mistakes. There's really no. If they play like this coming into the game versus Immunity, they're not going to win. Like I'm going to say that right now. They're not going to win.
And Immunity's on a bit of a high. That's we just got smoked. Whereas Immunity were quite pleased with themselves on the Dust 2 game. They said, "Wow, we took it to NiP. That's pretty awesome. Like we didn't expect to do that." So that's going to play into it as well.
Yeah, and just a general, again on Mirage, you saw the difference there. Fnatic, for example, on their T side, they had that one smoke to work with. Instead of wasting it in the beginning, they just took over middle. They used their flashes that they had just to create that little, kind of like a I wouldn't really call it, not even a V shape, but so you have the circle in mid, so you have one guy up mid that's watching catwalk, you have one guy up mid watching connector, and you have the one guy just peeking window. After that, the smoke comes out, because then they can move forward, and you saw all of them just walk into connector, there was no one there. And they used that smoke to their advantage in terms of, we only have one smoke to work with, there's no point in trying to waste it on A, we're gonna waste it so we get some map control. That's exactly what they did. And then you have Liquid, they have all 5 smokes. They still don't use them to do anything. They use them in the beginning, like all the way up top mid. It works sometimes, but when you have, again, especially when you have a team like Fnatic who likes to play aggressive, JW doesn't, he's not going to run away from there. He's going to take that duel, and then you have flusha going up close to catwalk, and then one connector. You're going to be sandwiched.
Yeah. So we'll bring James and Thorn back into the mix. Guys, what did you think?
Thank you, Sadakist. Well, it was the plough that we spoke about, right? What is there to analyse there? What went wrong?
Well, first of all, like I say, picking Mirage into Fnatic is always going to be a very dangerous proposition, unless you're like one of the best Mirage teams in the world, and obviously Liquid can't make that claim. Like I said at the beginning, one of the problems on this map is Fnatic is one of the few teams who can actually lock down the CT side, not even let you get into sites, not let you get the plants, and not even give you any play in that sense. That's why I said maybe even cash would have been worth a gamble. You would get some more plants, you'd have some more chances. Amazing CT side from Fnatic. I have to give them a lot of props, first of all. I always say, whenever on Inferno and Mirage, whenever Fnatic's at their absolute best is when Crims is doing his best, because the roles he plays are so integral. He had all the kills there. He even had that insane 1v4 where that should be unwinnable, that pretty much, because they've got the bomb down. They're in all the spots where you can hide. Even the last guy doesn't have to actually peek out on him, you know. Everything had to go right. It's like if you're going to lose those rounds, and then on the first map they lost the 1v3 to Flusher, it feels like not only Fnatic were the better team, they had all the better setups, but just in terms of confidence, the Liquid guys just get broken as these games go on, and eventually they just have no chance, I feel.
Talking about broken there, I think that's quite a relevant word, because when I was standing behind them listening to their comms slightly, and they sounded like broken men. They were getting very stressed towards the end. They'd already had a whooping on the first map, and they could see the same thing happening on the second map.
Well, I mean, one of the problems is in the NA scene, a lot of their philosophy on how to play Counter-Strike is like pick-oriented. So the idea initially is sort of like, well, we don't have a set plan now, but what's going to happen is one of us with our aim is going to like take a favorable duel, we're going to get the kill there, and then we'll decide then, okay, maybe we'll go over here, and then, you know, even if a guy dies, we'll trade for that kill. And these philosophies don't work if you're playing teams that not only have better team play than you, better setups, and then even better players on top of that. You're not going to get that first pick there, and then you're going to be down a man, and then you're going to be like, well, what do we do now? Well, slowly move over here, I guess, and you lose another man. You can see how it sort of falls apart piece by piece for the NA teams in these tournaments at the moment. That's one of the problems they have with, I think their metagame isn't as evolved to some degree.
Okay, we're going to head over to an interview now. I believe it's with James Bardolph again, and yeah, take it away, James.
2-0. Is there much to say about that match?
Not really, I would say. We played like we should do, and we had amazing individual performances from like Crims on Mirage, and Flusha did some 1-on-3 and stuff like that on Cobblestone. So we just played like we should, and also those like extra individual performances from players in the team. So it's all about that, I would say.
Do you think the Americans have a chance against the Europeans here at the FACEIT LAN finals?
I could see potential upsets. I mean, if they have the player like playing like Crims did now, for example, and stuff like that. I mean, anything can happen in Counter-Strike pretty much. But I would not say that they are favored in any matchup, but they could upset.
Is anyone going to stop Fnatic here at FACEIT LAN finals?
No.
Thank you very much.
Okay, there we go. Very confident JW there. So Fnatic go on to play NiP, but let's look at Liquid a little bit more. They go on to play Immunity. So we mentioned a little bit, like I said, they seemed broken. They seemed like they were very depressed by the end of that, which is understandable. What they got, three rounds, four rounds?
4 rounds total.
Yeah, 4 rounds total. So Immunity, when I spoke to them after their match, they were like, "Yeah, I feel like we did all right there. We gave NiP a good match." They're gonna go into their match against Liquid. Immunity are gonna be so much more confident. Can you see Immunity taking it off of Liquid?
I'm going to come in and just say, before even the Liquid Immunity thing, I think the whole mentality of those two teams coming here, for Immunity, this is their first land. They're coming from Australia, which really has no pressure on them internationally. They don't expect much. So for them to do well against NiP like they did, not only is that a feather in their cap, but they're also here thinking, whatever happens, happens. We're just going to play our game. Whereas with North America, I think they almost need to go back and take that approach, because right now, as things are, it's not like everyone wants to come over here and say, we're gonna beat a North American team this time, guys. It's North America's coming back. And then they put pressure on themselves that right now I don't think they're in a position to do. So in that sense alone, Immunity is just here to have a great time, and sometimes that's the approach you need to take.
Do you think that will come out on top, that sense of...
Yeah, but I was saying before that I actually think if they play like they did now, they're not going to play or win versus Immunity, which I still stick with, but I don't think they're going to play this game that they played just versus Fnatic just now versus Immunity. I think that versus Fnatic, they have a lot of respect, and they're not playing the way they should. Versus Immunity, they don't... I mean, what is there to respect, really? I mean, they're not a known international team. They're not the best team in the world currently. They don't have that kind of power behind them going into this game.
So do you think that lack of respect is going to give them an advantage?
I think so, yeah.
Really?
I think, yeah, because I think that they will play more aggressive and more with more self-confidence versus Immunity than they would do versus Fnatic. Now, again, like I said, if they play like they just did, they will not win.
Is there a case that they could underestimate Immunity?
Probably could, but then again, like Sadicus was saying, they're not here to be that kind of team where we're here to beat some Europeans and stuff like that. They should just be here to try to improve themselves. And versus Immunity, that's a good start. I mean, you should, especially in your situation right now, you should never underestimate anyone.
I was actually talking to Daps from Liquid, and he told me that he had watched demos of Immunity play already. So it's not as though they just were looking past them like, okay, it's only Nip and Fnatic we're aiming on here, and then we'll easily beat Immunity. No, they did their due diligence. They know they were probably realistic and thought we're probably going to have to play them at some point in time, maybe even in the first game, because we're going to have to play Fnatic to start out. So I think they kind of know what's ahead of them now. The issue more for me is not like, can they beat them, should they? Because I think Liquid should. It's more like, you probably don't even feel like you've warmed up after you get totally crushed like that. Where you got like 3 terrorist rounds or something in set 4 or something total in the whole 2 maps. So you can't even feel like you really got into the game yet. Whereas the difference is Immunity got a full map against Snip on Dust 2, and then the other one, okay, at least they got to start CT. So they've had more of a feel of the overall package of what it's like to play in the game. So maybe that aspect of coming into the game. But with that said, you have to realize in the schedule, as far as I know, that game's at the end of the day. So there should be time.
No, they're not playing today.
No, that's it now.
No, they're playing tomorrow.
Oh, maybe that's the other group then.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, that's a bit of a better scenario, because in some tournaments, whenever you go to the lower bracket, that's always the next match. So if they had to play right now, I might say that this would favor Immunity because they're coming off like a decent performance. Liquid's just got completely crushed. But if it's later, I think people reset again. It'll be more like the normal form of the teams you'd expect.
I think knowing that they don't play till tomorrow, they should almost say, let's go be tourists. Go see London for a couple hours. Get it off your mind. Yeah.
Well, no, they can do that on Sunday, remember.
Oh, okay. All right. There's a lot to see in London.
In fact, both teams can go together on Sunday and they can have a great time and foster some American-Australian relations there.
They can go for a massage. Dan recommends a good...
Yeah, he knows.
Of course, Dan knows.
He knows a couple of nice massage places, like a Thai massage. Before we head on to Group B, which is this afternoon's games, let's talk then, predict a little bit what Fnatic and Nip will be thinking now that they've gone through as the winners of these 2 matches today. Obviously, we're going to see a much closer match there than we've seen these teams play so far. Hopefully, you'd expect.
I mean, we'd hope so, but actually, interestingly, the last time Fnatic and Nip played, they played, I believe, these 2 maps here. It was Mirage and Cobblestone, and the Cobblestone game was almost identical to this one here, which is that NIP only got 1 round on their T side on Cobblestone. So that's why I didn't actually look down on Liquid like, oh, how terrible they are, only 1 round. It's like they just did that to Nip the other week, and Nip's like a top 3 team in the world. So I think for Nip, they're the ones who have the pressures on them in this match. It's been a while since they've beaten Fnatic in a best of 3. It only happened at MLG way at the beginning of the year when they had Makalele. Now they've got Alu, obviously. They lost the major final to them. They lost the lower bracket final at CCS. So I feel like it's Nip who has to get this win here. I think both teams are going to go through, but I think for Fnatic, they're a lot more confident, like knowing like, okay, we're better than Nip at the moment.
So we've spoken a little bit about the lesser-known teams looking at the more well-known European teams and stratting them and anti-stratting them and things. But Thorin's just mentioned there that Nip have been losing to Fnatic over and over again. Do you think Nip will have been giving a Fnatic like a closer eye more recently because they want to get that win?
I mean, they should have now, considering they brought in Natu, right? I mean, he's the coach. He's the one that's supposed to do that and educate the rest of NIP so they can focus on playing themselves. Whereas you have Natu then coming in and perhaps watch a few demos and see, okay, what are we doing wrong here? The last time we played Fnatic, what could we improve? This is how they play. This is the idea that we have, and come in with it and just educate not just all the players, or not just Exist, but all the players. So yeah, I definitely think that if Natu has had any time to look into it, because they knew that they were going to play Fnatic. I mean, just looking at the matches that they had and the group they had, so that's like the first map that they should be focused on.
Do you think it's a little too early doors for Natu so far? Do you think he will have done this work already, this kind of legwork?
I think that maybe he hasn't had a chance to watch like demos from other teams, but he can at least go in and see, okay, what are we doing wrong as a team right now? Like, what can we improve in all, like not just versus Fnatic, but versus all the teams.
Yeah,
actually. Obviously, Natu and I spent a reasonable amount of time together in Bucharest for the qualifier and in the last weekend of the LAN. I went to lunch with him on Monday just before, or Tuesday, whatever day it was, just before his flight took off, and he said, it's a slow approach. He's not going to come in and suddenly reinvent everything, but he's focusing on NIP first, not the other teams first. So he wants to come in, identify their mistakes, and then deal with those. So I think this tournament he's just going to sit back and learn from it as much as possible, start to address internally, and then they'll start working against the other teams.
The thing is, though, it makes sense why they would go for looking for a coach, because if you look recently at NIP's form, they've been a team trying all these different things out, like swapping even famous positions, like taking Forrest out from that pit position on Inferno that he's played his whole career, putting Get-Right over there. They've changed Get-Right and Freiburg's positions on Dust 2. Now Freiburg plays in the pit there. So I think, actually, it wasn't from Fnatic's game, because they haven't played Fnatic recently that much, but they were playing Envy over and over again and not losing worse and worse games. So I think they've been trying drastically to switch some things up. So they know there's something isn't quite right if they want to be a championship level team. So maybe they think bringing a coach in, like a different set of eyes who maybe noticed something about, I think it was better when you did it this way. I think that's like, they're out of answers at this point in time. They've tried roster changes, they've tried changing positions. What's the left,
While we're on this subject then of Natu, Flaren, how do you see Natu's approach? Do you think it will be much different to how Peter coached the team back last year?
I mean, when we brought in Peter when I was still playing, he did actually have like a lot to say about how we played, because we did a lot. I mean, top teams make mistakes. It's just that we tend to do them in a smaller margin than, for example, lesser teams. But there's still mistakes that can be fixed. Peter was very very on to fixing those small mistakes. That's why we played. I still think that we played good in Cologne. That's why we we probably wouldn't have won without him, right? So coming in here for Natu's part, it's the small things that he needs to fix. You don't have to spend a lot of time on it, just because there's going to be things that you will see that the team will not see, that they're blinded by it, so they will not see that. So that's a small thing, especially coming into this tournament. Again, he probably, even if he didn't spend any time with NIP before that, coming into this tournament, just watching them play at this tournament, he can easily catch up on like a thing or two. It's like, okay, yeah, guys, your timing there was off, or that flash didn't do anything, or do this instead. You come up with ideas, because he will have see the game in a different eye.
The thing is, when I think of Peter's era in NIP, okay, I think he was more focused on like the economical side of things. He was trying to like build a home in NIP, Whereas I think Natu's going to come in, he's just going to like address the personality. He's going to put people in different places there, little edgy shot across the bow.
Yeah, I get you. I get you. No, I think a second set of eyes is always good. Because it's hard for, we'll use Exist as the example, he's the in-game leader. It's hard for him to play his spot and know what Get-Right's doing. He has an idea of what he wants him to be doing. And even if Get-Right's done that so many times in the past, the thing is you build habits. So if, one game, for whatever reason, Get-Right got more aggressive and it worked perfectly for him, and he goes, oh, that's awesome. And then he starts to play more and more like that, and more and more like that, but it's not working. It starts to go against him, and he thinks, why? You build habits. That's just normal for anyone. And then the coach, who has a second set of eyes, who can watch everyone's position, says, come on, man, what are you doing up there? Like, that's not how you used to play it when you were successful. So, I mean, even if it's not a direct whole reinvention of their setup, it's just keeping people honest with themselves helps too. So,
cool. So there we go. NIP and Fnatic come out on top in the first two matches this morning. We will be going through, though, to Group B now. So the next match, we'll talk about it briefly. We will probably go for a break before the match, and we'll talk about the teams in depth. But first, I'd like to hear your guys' opinions on VP versus Elevate, which is the first match coming up.
Even though VP is a really good team, they're one of the world's best teams. They recently won Copenhagen Games.
ESEA.
They had ESEA as well. So they've got 2 LAN wins under their record. You have to say they're one of the teams out of the top teams. They are the most easily upset. And we know that because they've lost series as well this year. Like they lost to Penta earlier on. They lost to TSM with Cadian standing in, the guy who's doing the observing here. They've lost to a whole bunch of teams. They lost to, who else? TSM. They've actually finished last place in a whole bunch of LANs this year, even though they've won a couple of LANs as well. So they're the most up and down of all the top 4 or 5 teams, So actually, the reason I've set it up like that is because of all the teams in the tournament who are big names, I think they have one of the best chances to get upset. Saying that, I wouldn't predict it. It's very hard to. You'd have to know specifically what maps Elevate are going to be better on. But I think the potential is there. Whereas actually in some of these games here, as you heard by my analysis, I didn't think actually Liquid had a chance to beat Fnatic. I didn't think Immunity was going to beat NIP. But I think this group has a lot more potential for those upsets. For someone like Elevate to get at least to get a map, maybe win a series if it goes amazingly.
Yeah, and then later on we're seeing Na'Vi versus TSM as well, as you can see on the screen there. That is probably going to be one of the
big ones of the day, I would say.
The biggest, the closest matchup of the day.
Yeah, we haven't seen Na'Vi since their win at EPL, and obviously we saw TSM win CCS last weekend.
Yeah.
Obviously Titan stepped up at EPL, Na'Vi won it. TSM's now won an event. It gives us 5 different winners in 2015. There's a big debate right now. I mean, whether it was the patch or if it's just teams playing a heck of a lot better with Flamey for Na'Vi in particular. I mean, that group, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not going to predict it, but I wouldn't be surprised if TSM, despite winning last weekend, don't make it out of that group, just based on the fact that everyone has been firing on top cylinder, and particularly out of those 3 lately.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that match as well. First off, let's talk about Elevate again, Fiflaren. How do you feel like Elevate can take it from VP here?
No.
No, you're confident that VP
I don't think so. Yeah, sure, you can upset VP, but I honestly do not see that happening. Like, just in terms of firepower, in terms of preparation, like, VP, sure, they can be upset, or, you can upset them on a map. You probably won't win. I have a hard time seeing that they would even win a map, because, again, they're playing good right now. They have been, out of form a little bit, but then coming out of the win, especially during ESA, they looked great for me. I was there. They looked confident. They were, having fun. And then versus a team like Elevate, keep in mind, it's very hard to rank the NA teams right now, but for me, Elevate isn't even, a top tier in NA.
Okay, so, yeah, and then we're looking at VP. Where are they in VP? Or what? Fifth in your?
Yeah, I just moved them down now because TSM won, I moved TSM. And that's an interesting factor to bring up, though, because actually, if you look on paper, obviously VP have the better record. They have like top 4 at a major. They've won 2 events. TSM's only won 1 event, and then have a couple of like 2nd, 3rd, 4th. But the reason why I elevated TSM over VP is another factor I do for my rankings is I look who did you beat in best of 3s. It's not just about what placing. It's like, well, who did you beat to get there? And actually, VP only has something like 2 best of 3 wins over top 5 teams in all of this year, whereas actually TSM had something like 5. So VP have got the good results on paper, like the number next to where they finish is really good, but they haven't had that many big wins, series wins actually. So that's why it'd be interesting now to see VP go against Na'Vi, go against TSM, because if they're going to beat both of them, that's as many big wins as they've got over top teams at the moment almost this year,
How easy do you think this road will be for VP if they want to go on to play people like NiP and Fnatic? They want to prove themselves against these teams.
They need to. Even though they did win the ESEA and they beat Fnatic there in that 1 best of 3, I think the other side of that tournament is that people forget when they rank the VP win is that Titan did VP a favor there. They knocked Fnatic out of the upper bracket, and the way the map pool works in ESEA is that you have to play all the maps basically, and you just get to decide in what order you do. You don't just play like a best of 3, even though it is 2 best of 3s, you don't play like these maps and then re-pick. You play all the maps over the best of 3. So actually I heard that Fnatic kind of gambled to put some of their best maps later, thinking like, well, as long as we get through the first best of 3, then it's going to be easier to win the second one. And so as a result, one of the key maps that VP won there was Season, which isn't played in this tournament or any tournament in Europe actually. So that's an interesting wrinkle there. So I don't want to bring them down, but even their best win had like kind of a little asterisk next to it. So in this tournament, they can't play Season. That won't help them. So I think VP, yeah, you're right. They have a lot to prove still against these top teams, Fnatic, NiP, maybe even TSM now that TSM's going off a bit. And I know especially I want to see them play TSM. They're in the same group because those 2 teams have played some awesome series recently. They're actually, I think they're 2-2 in series recently, best of 3. So that's like one of the burgeoning rivalries that maybe historically we don't think of as a great rivalry, TSM VP.
Cool. We are going to head to a break very soon, but let's just summarize Group A, the first 2 games for this morning. Any final thoughts? Any highlights?
Don't get plowed.
Yeah,
don't get plowed.
Well, what I was going to say, NIP looked a bit sloppy, especially on their best map, right? They feel that Dust 2 is their best map. Looked a bit shaky. Fnatic looked very solid. I think that matchup will, again, I think it will favor Fnatic. That is not being played today, so they do have time to to go back to their hotels and
have some food,
and prepare for tomorrow. But yeah, that's going to be probably one of the better games for sure.
And Sadikis, your final thoughts?
There's not really much to say. We saw what was basically expected. I think the pleasant surprise of the morning was actually Immunity putting up some decent numbers against NiP. Cool. So other than that, as you were.
All right, guys, thank you for joining us on the desk, and you guys at home, thank you for watching. Keep watching, though, because we have a whole afternoon and evening of Counter-Strike coming up very soon with Group B. We'll be